live, Mr. Gracey Show 101, brother.
Howdy,
Howdy
Mr. Rotolo.
Yes, sir. What? That's funny. We call each other Mr. Gracey, Mr. Rotolo. Never in real person.
First time I did it.
Yeah. Never.
You always call me Mr. Gracey.
I know. I don't know why.
Sorry.
I'm gonna start calling you CAG.
Yeah, that's fine.
CAG, baby. Yeah, man. We got a fun show today, folks. We got PeaceMaker Sherrif Aldo coming on. He's running for sheriff down under. I believe in Florida.
Down under in Florida, yeah.
I
I think we're gonna have a lot of people moving out of New York City to Florida.
I might be one of them from Jersey to Florida, bro, because this state is fucking run like a maniac zone too. But talk to me about New York. Who they?
Well, I mean the Democrat primary for mayor, they elected freaking the socialists, the full on out in the open socialists. Like,
yeah,
it's just, I mean, oh my God, I heard someone the other day say, why are Republicans scared of socialism? Because it never fucking works.
ever.
That's why. And they've been told in their little stupid brains and by their stupid college professors that, oh no, it just hasn't been tried the right way yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's called human nature.
And
Socialism,
I'm not sorry.
Socialism provides for the elites to gather all the power and all the money.
Yep.
And that's what happens. And every time it's happened every time.
Preach it, dude. I mean, how many times do you have to try before, you say it's not a fucking working way to govern people or fucking govern anything?
Well, and the people that are telling these useful idiots that we haven't tried it the right way know that they don't know and want them to put them in power so that they can be in power, right? And then they're fucked.
So Chad, and he was openly saying like these crazy socialized ideas too. Like it wasn't like he was hiding behind some fucking veil campaign or whatever. Like he was coming out crazy ideas and people were like,
it's fully in the open. Fully in the open. He wants to defund the NYPD. He wants to send in social work. Like all the crazy shit that they were talking about back when, when Trump's first term was winding down and Biden was coming in office.
Right.
All that crazy kind of stuff about defund the police and we should send social workers to crime scenes. Like, yeah, go ahead and fucking do that and see what happens.
Right.
You're going to end up with a lot of dead social workers.
Can we just kind of go off and say like, so I'm pretty sure when Giuliani, the Republican, took over office, he was taken over from some fucking left piece of shit, and he had to clean up this entire fucking city and did a wonderful job by doing it. And he did it by law and order and fucking going after these fucking lifetime criminals and really making the streets safe. So this guy who's talking about defunding the police when they fucking tried that with fucking BLM movements and all that shit, it doesn't work. And you get fucking riots and people robbing fucking little old ladies. Like it's insane that these people want to vote for somebody like that. And it's like, I almost don't want to help them. Let them fucking implode.
It's all the rich white liberal kids.
You're right.
Apparently this guy's 33 years old. I don't even know what his name is. I don't even fucking care. He's 33 years old. He comes from a rich family. He's never worked.
Yep.
This is who you want to run your city. He has no experience running anything, and now he's possibly going to be mayor. You still have to have the general election in, I guess, November.
Yep.
And I don't know who. Well, Eric Adams is the incumbent. I guess he's running against him.
Yeah.
But I think there's a Republican candidate to it. I don't know his name. Scott Blaio or whatever that guy's name is on Instagram talks about him.
Does he have a shot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I hope enough of New York wakes up and goes, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? You made a really good point, though, Chad, because you said it's like these fucking young white people, blah, 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 blah. They're probably living in these fucking high-rise buildings where they don't have to worry about the crime coming into them. When the city when the city gets too out of control, they go to their fucking house in the Hamptons or down in Florida, and they don't have to worry about it. They just leave the city in chaos, vote in these shitty-ass people, and they don't have to deal with the wake that's left behind because of their stupid.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, that's what happened. And the alternative candidate for the primary was Cuomo.
Homo.
I mean, that's not a great choice either.
No.
He's already had his problems, being governor and sexual harassment and putting, COVID patients back into old folks' homes and killing grandma.
Yeah.
Like they told you that you're killing grandma by not wearing a mask or getting an injection, but they're literally putting COVID patients into retirement homes.
Yeah, but Chad, you know what? Him and his brother got on CNN every night and spoke just like two regular
Oh,
people,
of
and
course.
that's why
Yeah.
they were so good. But meanwhile,
Mhm.
they're fucking over the city, sexually harassing New York fucking state troopers. Like, and this
Yeah.
guy has the balls to fucking show his face and try and run for another fucking office.
Yeah.
Come on. Like,
And so he got handily defeated by this Marxist socialist. Great, but it's wild. It's just wild to watch, man.
well,
How these
it's,
people, who these people will vote for.
yeah. Well, it's just like in a normal like citizen's life, if you get charged with sexual harassment, it goes on your public record. You're probably gonna have a hard time finding another job, let alone fucking running for office. These guys, it's like they just get out of jail free cards, no problem.
Oh yeah, well, it's Democrats.
Yeah. Because look at Giuliani, right? They were trying to go after him for fucking nothing when he fucking cleaned up their city, like saying he lied for Trump and blah, 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 blah. He's his lawyer, bro. We do what the fuck he wants. He could say what he wants. Lawyer means liar.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. It's just wild to watch. And what else? I mean, well, Gavin Newsom's going to try to run for president here, our lovely governor in California. Just take a look at our California streets in general, not Orange County per se, because it's still a little red here, and there's law and order, and police bust people for shoplifting, and there's a little homeless, but not as bad. Go look at L.A.
Yeah.
Just go fucking look at L.A.
Yep.
It's run by Karen Bass, and Newsom is the governor. So last week I said that Newsom sued Trump for $750 million. No, he sued Fox. He sued Fox because do you remember when the National Guard was called into LA because Karen Bass told the cops to stand down to protect the ICE agents going in and arresting illegal immigrants.
Yep.
So it's a good reason for the Democrats to riot, to save those people from being removed from their city. Awesome. And so there was a phone. So Trump said he called Newsom on a certain day and spoke to him for 16 minutes. And Newsom denied that call happened.
Right? Really?
Yeah. He said, no, he never called me, because Trump called him to tell him he's going to send in the National Guard, because at first Newsom was like, he never told me. He can't just send in the National Guard into my state, and which he can legally.
Yeah.
Sorry. So then Trump shows the receipts. Here's the first call you didn't answer, and here's the 16-minute call we did. Boom.
Wow.
Fox reported on that, but they got the day wrong.
Oh, God.
So he's suing him for defamation. Lying. Newsom is suing Fox for lying.
Can you imagine?
This is so fucking insane, dude.
And you know
people follow this guy and want to vote for him.
Well, you know what it is, Chad? Like, so he's suing Fox for fucking something that's so stupid. They just got the date wrong. I'm sure they're going to fucking do a retraction, but they were actually reporting a real story. Bernie Sanders is on Rogan saying that,
oh my God,
how dare Trump go out and sue legacy media for lying about him, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Newsom's doing it, and they didn't lie about him. They did the truth. They just got the fucking date wrong.
Right.
So it's like,
well, of course, what's good for the gander is good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's right.
Not in the Democrats' case. So
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders can get on Rogan and denounce Trump for blatant lies.
Yep.
And he sued 60 Minutes. God damn it. He sued 60 Minutes because they altered Kamala Harris's answers. He has proof of it, to make her look more cogent and fucking intelligent, which she's not.
And they couldn't even do that with editing, but go ahead.
And that, 60 Minutes is supposed to be this upstanding news organization, yet they're literally helping a candidate who's an idiot look like she's smart by changing answers in her interview and editing it.
Yeah.
Trump sued him for that. Bernie Sanders is defending that. Well, and of course, then I just saw another interview with this fucking asshole. He's like, oh, the Democrats or the Republicans are the ones that are ushering in Stalinism and all this bullshit. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you not noticed what your party did over the course of the Biden administration and COVID? I mean, come on, man.
Right. That was the one thing I liked about the Rogan interview, and it's probably because, what was that?
This guy, Jason Klingman, I went to high school with, just said to get the hairball out of my throat.
Those are ladies' pubic hair.
I'm
Chad's been...
licking my underarms too much.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, they're ladies' pubes. That sounds better.
Yeah, dude. Licking the armpits. That's like that SNL skit where she sniffs her armpits when nobody's looking. But what the fuck was not to change topics real quick, but before I forget, I want to congratulate my father who retired yesterday, man.
Yes. I saw your post. That's very cool.
Dude, I am so... Thank you, dude. I'm so proud of that man. I don't get to tell him often in person because I'm not that sentimental like that, but I'll tell the audience here. 30 years head engineer for Passaic Valley Sewage Commission. The guy has patented stuff that he's designed. They wanted to keep him there for another 30 years. They did not want to see him go. And just super proud of him. Dad, congratulations.
That's awesome.
Enjoy retirement. And don't worry, I'll put you to work. I got a lot of things for you to do.
Congrats, Mr. Rotolo. What's he going to
do? So that's what people ask me. He's like, I got another job. They're like, what? He's like opening up a chair, cracking a beer, and going to the beach.
Nice.
So
exactly.
Yeah. But I said, I'm like, Dad, don't get complacent, like stay in a routine, because I feel like that keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? Like, he always hard worker and stuff. But if you just start like laying around watching TV, that's when you could start aging pretty quick.
Yes. True. Stay active.
True.
Keep your brain active, all that stuff. Yes.
Before we bring on our guest, Chad, should we fucking let the audience know who is lurking in the background? Mr. Bob.
Hey.
There he
Bobby is back.
How you doing? How's everybody?
Yes. With a fresh cut, with a fresh look. Bobby is down some pounds. He's getting healthy. What's good, Bobby?
I'm doing good, bro. You know, I had to take a couple weeks away, but I'm back. You know, I'm back ready for action.
And it looks like the time off did you good, man. Have you been staying in tune with the world, man? Or is the world safer since you took the little vacay?
I would say yes. Yes. We're heading towards a better direction, that's for sure.
Iran's nuclear program bombed back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go.
And then they had to do a little retaliation, but it's all for show, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Trump knew they were going to do that, and he let them do it. I mean, he let them retaliate against, some bases when he took out Soleimani back in his first term. He was like, go ahead, you can retaliate, save some face, so you look fucking cool to everybody. Launch some rockets. Great.
But now the UN is saying that, we're having a peaceful solution, so let's see how it goes.
So I thought that when, Israel bombs Iran, Iran retaliates, then fucking they go to negotiate the ceasefire with Trump, and after that there was still some rockets launched from I think both sides, and that pissed Trump off. Yeah. But then I think once he took out Iran's nuclear program, they didn't make a peep after that. I think that was end all of the game.
No, he took out the B-2s bombed the Fordo and the other base, and then he brokered the ceasefire, but then they violated it, but then they reestablished it. So I think it's on right now, the ceasefire.
Yeah, ceasefire is definitely on now.
Yeah.
But hey, man, just so we're all well aware, if anybody was okay with Iran gaining nuclear weapons, then you're fucking sorely mistaken and should go back to sleep.
The left went from Ukraine flag, trans flag, Mexican flag, Palestinian flag to the Iranian flag. This is how and they call us the cult. They're like, no, whatever flag they tell me to wave, I'm gonna wave. Oh!
Exactly. You got a blue tongue.
I know. I put my methylene blue today.
Yeah, baby. You were blowing that Smurf. I love it. Bobby, but I just want to bring you on real quick. Say hello and goodbye to the audience. I want to get on our guest, and we'll come back before we go. Peace in the Middle East.
Nice seeing everybody.
Bobby, let's go. Yeah, young Bobby. He's young now, Chad. We could...
He re-younged.
Yeah. He's been using whatever you got going on. You got some glowing skin going there, sir. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm using this nice product here.
Oh.
Let's see. Face
cream.
Let's see. Yeah.
I like
Check it out. If you're on TikTok, it's in my TikTok shop.
Sweet. And what is your TikTok handle, bro? So people...
Chad Gracey Live on TikTok.
Yeah. Chad Gracey Live. Doing some cool shit over there, peeps. He's got lives going on. He's letting you inside his life a bit. So
Yeah.
Don't just catch them here, catch them there, man.
And Bill, yeah, we have an agency on TikTok, so we're signing up creators, and I'm gonna start having some of those creators come on the show. Like next week, we have a girl named Jen Smith, who's in our agency. Well, no, she's a recruiter for our agency, but she has a new song out that's really good, and I think we'll play it on the show a little bit.
Fuck yeah! If she'll give it, if she'll let us play some of that for sure. But if not, if she doesn't want us to, we'll certainly have a good interview and direct the peeps to listen.
Yeah, and I do have a blue tongue. I took my methylene blue earlier, so.
You sure it's not a blue chew and you were out last night really doing your thing?
No, I took it this morning. I have a big boner right now. Can't see it.
Oh my God, what's hitting your chin, Chad? All right, enough fun here, folks. Let's get on Mr. Peacemaker Aldo, running for sheriff down in, is it Florida, good sir? What's going on?
Virginia Beach, Virginia. Great afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. Yourself?
Very good, thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's a killer hat you have there, dude. I can tell your patriotism is shining through.
Hey, man. Better be wearing this hat than the alternative.
Preach it, dude.
Absolutely.
So talk to us. What should I call you? Is it Peace? You want me to call you Peacemaker Aldo? Do you have a name that you want me shortened?
Aldo's fine. That's mostly what usually people call me. Peacemaker as well. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Rock on.
Cool.
You have an interesting story there, Aldo, that I want to dive into and unpack. You kind of let me into some cool information about you and some of the hardships that you went through where people tried to break you, but your resolve just came through and you became stronger. You want to talk to me about some 67 days you did somewhere?
Yeah, I'm still a jail virgin. I spent 67 days in solitary confinement. Because our courts, who like to selectively apply the rule of law, put me in. The real reason was because of my politics, what we're going to get into. But they used a false order in a family law matter that was invalid, but they don't care. Just like the Supreme Court has been battering back and forth, there should be no executive imperialism. Well, that's kind of ironic coming out of the judicial imperialism reality that we've been all cast in involuntarily for generations.
I can't say, I was going to say, I can't say I disagree with anything you just said right there, my man. So talk to me how this kind of came about. Was this your politics and that passion for it? Is this something that kind of you've been into for a very long time, or did you start waking up around 2018, 2019, 2020-ish?
5 years ago, I got hit with a nightmare divorce, and, things weren't as they should have been, but it became more and more bizarre as I dug deeper into it, and it was a system issue. It's one thing for an accuser to lie about you. It's another thing for a bar member or court officer or an attorney to continue those lies or build on them or even create or structure them. It's entirely another problem when our system encourages it. And when you bring it to the attention of the system, instead of a judge going, hey, let's have a hearing here and see what's going on and get to some truth and some rule of law, they do just the opposite. They smack you down for contempt of court, for being incivil, and fine you and start threatening you with jail. And that's been my reality for the last 5 years. And I can tell you this, brothers, I'm not a slave, you're not a slave, and your listeners are not a slave. But our system has enslaved us, and that's going to stop. And that's what's coming about.
Yeah.
And I like that. Yeah.
For sure. And it takes the people to stand up, and enough of them to stand up, because I think they've gotten away with it so long because people didn't have a microphone. They didn't have access to a public forum to kind of get these stories out there and let the people know the abuses that they entailed so it doesn't happen to them. So I think that, with people getting a mouthpiece and social media access and stuff, it's going to start maybe getting change involved and having these, like, taking the power away from these fucking officials that are doing shit like that.
Yeah. It's deep. It's deeper than that. There's a saying out there that you've got the soapbox, that's the media. You got the ballot box, that's the elections, which we all know have been hijacked. You got the jury box, which I'm going to explain to you how long badly that's been hijacked. And then you got the cartridge box. And by the time you get to the cartridge box, everybody loses, but that's what evil wants. Evil wants destruction at all costs. But what's happening is we all have been living in a reality like boiled frogs for generations. We didn't understand. And, waking people up, there's a lot of Stockholm syndrome going on. I just had some of that yesterday. I spoke to a group of patriots in Gloucester County, Virginia, that are doing our grand jury oversight movement. And, it's like they're waking up going, oh my gosh, I don't even know what real freedom is like. And I can imagine what life would have been like in the times of emancipation when people were born into it, and all of a sudden those chains are broken, and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to feed myself? What's this going to look like? Maybe I should stay in this distorted reality. But the fact of the matter is that modern technologies being what it is, and shows like you guys, you wake people up, you realize you got a choice to make. We have a better reality and a better future. And, biblically speaking, there's a destiny. It's either the lake of fire or the book of life. And, that reality is upon us. And I can tell you this, it's our duty to act. It's God's to determine the outcome. That's John Quincy Adams' quote. And, destiny is always upon us if you really understand it. And we're just, we're doing what we were born to do, which is reclaiming our freedom, that life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, which made America unique. America is more than a place. It's more than an idea. It is a spirit of liberty and hope that lights the way for the rest of this planet. And as we have done for the last couple hundred years, predictably, we went into the tank for a while, but we are coming out stronger and better. And that's what tomorrow is about.
Yes.
Love it.
And
hell yeah.
I love what you just said right there, man. And that pumped me up, man. Getting America back to those roots and what they stood for and stood their ground for, and took back from England and all that stuff. Like give the power to the people, the freedoms and all that stuff. I love it. Is this a reason why you're running for sheriff out in Virginia Beach? Like, do you see some kind of corruption going on or something down there where you have and can make a change?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. So I was a candidate last year in the special election cycle because our elected sheriff left office early. With a $1,000 budget out of my back pocket and a small handful of supporters, I ran on a very simple independent campaign to restore accountability via grand jury rights. And I'll get into that in a minute. I got 30% of the vote, or almost 50,000 votes. It shocked the incumbents because I had significant opposition from all sides. Right, left, center, everybody was afraid of giving the people back their power. And the sheriff has the authority to do that, and not only the authority, but the duty. And I'll get into that in a minute. But the sheriffs we have now are what I call administrative sheriffs. They have generationally been neutered, and they think the judges are their bosses, when in fact their bosses are we, the people in their community who elected them and who pay their salary. Yep. And so I started a movement called the PeaceMaker Sherrif movement, me being the first example of that. And I'm running again now in the regular election in Virginia Beach coming up. I've got an army of supporters and a war chest and a purpose. And I can tell you that if we haven't flipped grand jury control before then, it's going to happen on election day, because I will use the sheriff's authority lawfully and peacefully to give the citizens back access to their grand jury, which was taken away from us in 1946 with the Federal Criminal Procedures Act. And your audience needs to understand, in 1947 was the official start of the CIA, which had been operating before that. So none of this is happenstance. All of it gets into the swamp and some very deep pits here. We'll start unbundling a little bit.
Yeah, man. Let's fucking go, dude. I like where your head is at. And that's got to be a great campaign for the citizens of Virginia Beach to hear you running on, because who wouldn't want everything you just said right there? So,
well, you'd be surprised. As much as people want change, there are some people who benefit from it. And, when they start opening their eyes up to what our reality, what rule of law is supposed to be and what our reality is supposed to be, it makes them nervous. So, even in the patriot movement and the truther movement, you got patriots that spelled Paytriot. My patriotism stops at the point that it's going to impact my wallet. And for many men, you understand this, you're men, your function in this world and what you do to earn an income and provide that protection and for your family defines your ego. And you start looking in the mirror and start wondering about stuff, it gets deep quick.
Very, very true, dude.
Absolutely.
Do you feel kind of men have been kind of neutered in society and kind of roles have been changing? And like, is that a good thing for society? Like, I think like I'm not talking about getting back to the 40s and stuff where fucking husbands were beating their wives and stuff, but just it seems like the roles have kind of been mixed here in America, and it seems to create kind of confusion and maybe like troublesomes like somewhere in the world, and it makes men who are kind of manly feel like they should kind of cowtail and bring on some more feminine qualities. And I don't think that's like really the answer. I think you need some strong leaders, whether it's an alpha male or an alpha female. I don't think we need to neuter men and make them, or especially, big black men, big white men, and make them feel like they have to act inferior just because of, I don't know, society's calling for it. It just seems weird.
No, you're right. Joe Rogan's got a famous saying or quote. I don't want to mess it up, but we go through cycles.
Yes.
And hard times produce, hard men. Good times produce soft, and we go through these cycles. And humanity, we learn at the extremes. When you're stuck in the middle, life can be kind of easy, and we bounce around. And then you get to the extremes, you go, oh no, this is not real too good, or we went too far the other way. So, you're very right. We don't want to get back to, hey, beat my wife today. Let's boast about that. It's never right for either of the genders to pick on one another. But the battle of sexes is very real. It started in the garden, brother, and it goes to the end of the story, and that's okay. It keeps life interesting. I'm a man of deep spirit. I often ask God, it's like, what are you doing, God? What's going on here? Help me understand the deeper purpose. So, things have gotten out of whack. We see it for what it is. We're coming back. We don't want to go too far the other way. We have a destiny. Again, book of life. That's where we're headed. Revelation 20, God sent an angel with a chain and a key, and he bound the devil, the deceiver, and he cast him to the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. That has occurred. That's where we're at, and that's where we're headed, to a glorious time here.
How far are we into those 1,000 years?
Hard to say. I don't think God in eternity marks time on definitive days. Sure. I just see a turning point that occurred. And I see it more and more. It becomes more and more clear. And I tell people the evil that we still see around is legacy evil. It's got no backing. So it will start to evaporate quicker and quicker. You saw it with this No Kings thing that was funded by whoever, Soros, the deep state, and it turned out to be a whole lot of hoopla. And now I understand on July 17th, there's a second version of that. And there's a lot of organization, but there's not a lot of momentum behind it. So, in my opinion, we have turned a corner spiritually and biblically in humanity's history. We're in this 1,000-year sort of landing, if you will, into the new heaven on the new earth, which was a wonderful thing. But to switch gears, I'd like to bring you guys into the RestoreGrandJuryRights.org movement. It's really where the meat matter is. I tell people, look, we can sit and bitch and complain about what's wrong till the cows come home and weigh ourselves out, but where the fruit of our thoughts are and the productive time is to talk about what we can do and what is happening in the now to change our reality for the better.
Rock on. Give that site one more time and say it's kind of slow, so just in case people didn't hear that.
So that's RestoreGrandJuryRights.org, and that site is linked to the PeaceMaker movement site, as well as the JusticeForRoland.org site. And I will take you on a tour of all three of them, however you wish.
Sure. Well, I was going to say, why don't you start where whichever one you want and kind of lead us through, man.
Well, Chad, you're awfully quiet there. Can you give me a little insight to what's going on in your head?
Oh, I'm full on with this. I was going to bring up the fact that it's been the left has, made a concerted effort to demasculize men over the past probably decades, and it was all an effort, I think, to gain control, more and more control. You take the masculinity out of men, they're more easy to control. Yeah. So I'm right with you on this. I think a lot of what you're talking about comes from the left. There's people on the right that do it too, but a lot of it comes from the left.
I see it more, the systems that are in place, I see them more as a uni party, but I hear you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about RestoreGrandJuryRights.org. If your viewers are to go there, you'd see a picture pop of Uncle Sam pointing at you and a jury of your peers around him pointing at you saying, you are not free yet. And that is the truth, because we have a grand jury system that's been hijacked. And why is that important, Aldo? Our grand jury when it's recognized, when it's impaneled, and when it comes to agreement or unity, has what's called absolute authority. That grand jury can indict any bad actor, a judge, an elected official, including the sheriff, a private official, a government agent. They can say, hey, you've done something unlawful or bad. We're going to indict you. We want the courts and the prosecutor to look into this and have a regular jury trial. Since 1946, the citizens' right to take such grievance or evidence to our grand jury in our communities was taken away. And they put in the middle of that, they put the government attorneys. So now they have a gatekeeper. So you can't get evidence of government corruption in front of the grand jury to do anything about it. And I'm an engineer like your dad, J-Ro. I have 6+ patents. The way my mind works is I take things apart, figure out how to make them better. 5 years ago, when my nightmare came upon me, and even the attorneys that I hired to represent me were playing this billing game. They weren't really bringing the whole truth to the court, And I said, what the heck's going on here? This is just a milk fest, and that's all it really is. And what I realized, the engineer in me, the engineer in me said, well, how do you change this? How do you fix this system? And the reality is it's our grand jury, and the way to fix it is through grand jury oversight. So back in 1992, Justice Scalia, God rest his soul, issued a ruling in a case called the Williams case. And there's some summaries of it on our website, but he said a lot of very pertinent things. And one of them was, hey, this grand jury, it's a protector of the citizens against arbitrary and oppressive government action. Now, do you think that we've been living in a reality of arbitrary and oppressive government actions?
Definitely not.
And then Scalia went on to say a bunch of other things, that the grand jury is supposed to operate separate from the courts. It's supposed to be a tool of the citizens. And those are things that the courts knew, but they've hijacked it and they've taken it away from us. And, last year I took a group of citizens in a coordinated, lawful manner to our local grand jury to present evidence of corruption because the courts were not following the rules. And what do? They jumped me, carried me out of the courthouse. That's on the video on the website. We went back. They jailed some of our members. They started roughing us up in the courtroom. I mean, it was just ridiculous. We had to go through that, though, because we took all those events, we packaged them up, we sent them up to the Supreme Court. But what we realized is, hey, the Supreme Court's part of the system. It's part of the problem.
Yep.
So what do we do next? We started this movement, and we figured out a way, and that's what's on the website. On that website is a link. It says, start your community oversight committee now. And when you click on that, it pops up a very simple 5-page form. Page 1 is the instructions. Page 2, you fill out a couple of names of the elected officials. You send it off to them. You send it to Trump, Bondi, and Patel in the federal level. You serve a notice to the federal prosecutor, and you start having meetings. Yesterday, I went to a meeting an hour and a half from my town in a small rural community, and it was their grand jury oversight meeting. Why is that important? Because now the community members, the citizens, are telling the officials, hey, we know what you're doing with our grand jury is unlawful. You're gating it. You won't let it hear official corruption, and you're manipulating it, using it to get false indictments against people who are innocent so that you can control our reality. And this isn't just in my county and a few. There are 3,143 counties across the United States. The same ring of corruption is going on everywhere. And so we've developed a system on how to break it. And the way you break it is you leverage the federal authority over the local corruption. And the way history has taught us, not just through the Revolutionary War and through sociology, but when just 3 to 5% of the citizens act in an impassioned, coordinated manner as patriots with truth on their side, America transforms. And that's what's going on here. We now have activity in 14 counties across 7 states of the United States. The second county was Palm Beach County, which is Trump's home county. And there's a shitstorm going on there now. And we're talking to 24 counties in total, trying to get them up to speed. Been trying to communicate with the General Flynn camp. He's famous for many things. One of them is local action equals national impact. There's one nation under God. We live and act locally. That's right. What you can do that matters most in this whole situation is what you do locally.
Yeah.
So there's a method there that I encourage your viewers to check out, to consider, to engage, to email me and look at it. And then that is linked to the PeaceMaker Sherrif movement, because the help of a cooperative sheriff authority is what you need. It also solidifies things.
Yeah.
And then the last part I mentioned to you before was justice for Roland. Roland Hill was an African-American Eagle Scout.
PeaceMaker Aldo, 1 second. I want to play that video for you real quick, if you don't mind. The video of you getting arrested, just to show the audience, and then we'll hop back in right here. I don't want to get too far from it.
Go for it.
Bobby, you got that up? There we go. The young Bobby on the move here, folks. He's going to play the video of Peacemaker Aldo getting arrested. I thought he was ready, but this is how we do on this show. There we go. Yes.
Sir, I have a presentment from the grand jury. This is a public forum. You have a duty. You have authority over this judge. Please do not touch me. Please do not touch me. Don't touch me. Please do not touch me. I have a right to be here. Do not touch me. Sir, now you can leave.
Yeah, you can leave. We're going to report you out.
Wow.
Yeah, look, let's talk about some social phenomenon. For a long time, if you were saying something that somebody on the other side of the spectrum didn't like, they'd say, "You're a racist, you're a racist." And that evolved into, now if you say something like in our courts, whatever, they don't like, the moment you say something, you're trespassing. So
Right.
Before I opened my mouth, I was fine. I was in our public courthouse doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The moment I say something they don't like, you're trespassing. And that's where we're at now. So part of the case is sitting at the Supreme Court to say, hey, when is it trespassing in our courthouse to speak your mind? Free speech,
Right.
If it's not protected in our courthouse, what am I supposed to do? Then drop the jury box and pick up the cartridge box?
Yeah.
It's funny that we go through these extremes in behavior socially to try to get back to find the right narrow path to our destiny.
What was the scenario in that video we just saw? Were you there, or was it someone else's case, or was it your case that you were?
So that was July 1, 2024. That was in the grand jury room in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia Code 48.1, which predates the 1946 thing I told you about, we'll get into more, says that when 5 or more citizens bring a complaint of a public nuisance to the court shall impanel a special grand jury to investigate. When there's shall in the legal code, it means it's obligatory. It's not discretionary. We did that about the bar members lying in our courts in a coordinated manner, not just in my case, but in other cases that became apparent. And we had the 5 citizens. The courts, all the judges recused themselves, which was unheard of. It went up to the Supreme Court of Virginia. The Supreme Court of Virginia designates a retired judge. Just like the mafia sends in a cleaner to clean up their mess, the retired judge is a cleaner. The retired judge holds these hearings. I'm sitting in there myself with the supporters arguing against the assistant attorney general and a bunch of other bar member suits that were being paid for on our tax dollars. We have this hearing, arguments back and forth about the constitutionality. You've got a right, as a constitution, as a person recognized by the Constitution, to have your grievances redressed. The judge goes away. 2 weeks later, issues a ruling, dismisses the matter because I'm not a bar member. And I'm like, what the heck? And rather than playing their game in their little sandbox of selectively applying the rule of law, which is tyranny, instead of filing an appeal because it's just another game, I filed something called a quo warranto against that judge, which is Latin for by what authority. It's by what authority are you violating our constitutional rights? So after debating this with some white hats and good actors that were helping with this, we decided, look, they're not following rule of law that they'd have you believe. It's something called fraud upon the public by the court, because you as a citizen make presumptions that the court's operating correctly. So you give the authorities your consent to be governed, right?
Yeah.
And when you find out that the people that you elected that took an oath to uphold the Constitution are knowingly and willfully violating it, but doing it with a black robe and this color of law authority to make you think they're not, it's worse than gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's worse than projection. And so we started to adjust our tactics and say, what do we do to break out of their little distorted reality or sandbox? And we said, we've got to confront that grand jury, because until 1946, we had that right to do what I did in there, and they took it away from us. And the argument is what they did in 1946, and it was a group of corrupt judges. I could plug you into the guy who did the homework on it. was unlawful. It was amounted to changing our Constitution. It should not have happened, but it did. And so here we are today with this complex machinery of these three branches of government that are supposed to check and balance one another. And then we, the people, our grand jury authority has been taken away from us. So as a machine, J-Ro, as a machine, your father would say, that machine don't work. It's broken. The feedback mechanism was intentionally broken. So the machine's doing all this crazy stuff, and it's not going to change. It doesn't matter whether you vote left or right. It's uni-party. They're all in control of the budget. They're all in control of the monetary system. They're in control of the courts, the jails, and you have to go to work to pay for it as a slave. Suck it up. And by the way, you got no authority over us because we broke the chain on that in 1946. So what you saw on July 1 was a carefully calculated assault to take back our grand jury rights. And that's what kind of lit the match.
So, Aldo, I think just to kind of bring back the full circle to where we're talking about the neutering of men, I think this is why they want to neuter the men, because they don't want strong men like yourself actually standing up for the people, using their brain and doing shit the right way. Because when that happens, change happens, and it could get scary for these people who like to lurk in the shadows and try to do control. So I think that's where that whole thing trying to neuter strong people, I don't even want to say just men, but strong people comes into the pipeline. Is because they don't want us being able to stand up for ourselves. They'd rather us go through sheepily and being led idly and just kind of going about our day. And hey, they got it under control. Who are we to say anything and step in and actually have our freedoms that are inherently, supposedly available to us?
Now, look, at the end of the day, it's a biblical battle. It's been going on forever. It will go on until God changes that, which is what's coming with the new heaven on the new earth. He's already, as I said earlier, he's already chained and bound and cast evil. So, as I said, the evil that's there is residual. It's left over, and it's shrinking quickly. But you're right. Evil uses many tactics. We talked about gaslighting and projection. It overwhelms the senses. It neuters the spirit, if you will. You talk about, neutering what real men. It's really a spirit. A spirit of being willing to know who you are, and what are you willing to claim that? What are you willing to lose everything to be who you were meant to be, or are you willing to bend a knee? And as I said before, I'm not a slave. You're not a slave. Your listeners are not slaves. We have to stand up lawfully, peacefully, and persistently. And the means to do it is on that website, restoregrandjuryrights.org. And history has told us we get to 3%. 3% of people acting in a coordinated manner, America transforms. That's 100 counties. That's 100 counties. That's all it is. That's not a lot. We could be there next week. And here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Evil uses the tactics of distraction. There's a saying out there that says all evil needs good people to do nothing. All evil needs is for good people to be opposed to one another and distracted doing the wrong thing. I hear you, brother, but I'm just too busy doing this, and I got this coming up, and I just can't, somebody else will take care of that. You have that attitude, you'll stay a slave for another decade or so. You want to change your reality, get off your butt, put something aside, realize what's important, put your sword down. Evil wants you to go out there, take your sword. You start chasing election integrity. You start chasing border issues. You start chasing trafficking issues. You name it. You start chasing COVID issues. You're not going to get real justice until you fix what's broken in the system. J-Ro, you talk to your father, the engineer, and he'll tell you, you want to fix it, you got to get to the root of the problem. Don't put a Band-Aid on a symptom. Get to the root of it.
Amen to that. And speaking of some of those things that you just brought up, dude, it seems like now Kash Patel just put out a thing saying implicitly they have evidence that the 2020 election was heavily interfered by the CCP. January 6th, they found out now that the Biden administration was 100% the start of that, and it was all fucking theater. And these things are starting to come out now that we were lied to for so long, but in the back of our mind knew what the fuck was going on the entire time. But it's nice to see some light getting shine on this shit. And the fact that good, because I was getting lost, dude, for a long time. I'm like, does good always outwin and fucking beat evil? And I was getting real kind of scared for a little bit, but I'm starting to get back to know that good always conquers evil. It might take some time, but we're getting there.
Well, listen. God, who's the creator and sovereign of everything, has time in his hands. Time is endless to him. But I can tell you that good is so much more powerful than evil that if good were to pick up its sword and just start to destroy evil, it'd be like picking on a kid. So how did this all unfold? And I've learned this recently. Good just watches evil destroy itself, which is we've seen a lot of happening. And then all of a sudden, at the right moment, it just kind of kicks it over the edge and then takes the remnant and moves forward on our journey and our destiny. But I'm going to tell you this about Mr. Patel and Miss Bondi and our respected President Trump. They've been getting these documents from this website, that 5-page thing I told you. They've been getting the notices. They need to get in the game. They need to do their work, and they are. And here's the part of the problem. The FBI, the DOJ, even the executive branch, they are so large that they've got good and bad within them fighting one another. That happened before Trump stepped in, and it's still going on. I think Trump is being gated by bar members. And I think what's being fed to him has been distorted. And if he could see some more truth, he'd be like, let's go deal with this now. Because when you think about things tactically and strategically, getting back to the root, you can keep fighting all these problems in the system. But if you want to change the reality, you got to change the root of it. And the root of it gets back to re-empowering we the people at the local level. Because bad actors, people who do bad, do it because they believe they're going to get away, because they believe if they get caught, they get a slap on the wrist. I know the right attorney to hire. He knows the right judge. Don't worry about it. That's been our reality. That's been normalized. We have to flip a switch on that. Much like Jesus flipping the tables over, the money changers, we have to flip a switch in our reality that says, no, truth matters. And we're going to stand up for it. And we're going to walk the path of what truth tells us. The problem is the transition between where we're stuck in this reality deception to flipping the switch. If Jesus doesn't come back and flip the table, we need to do it this way by restoring power back to the people, because bad actors, whether they go to the state capitol or to DC, they live in a county somewhere. And when they go home to their county and something has changed and they have to answer for what they've done to their neighbors on a common level, right? You've heard the saying, try getting away with that in a small town.
Yeah.
I tell you, try getting away in a county that has grand jury oversight. You can't, and you won't. And that starts to change our reality at the grassroots level. And all of a sudden, the stuff that happened with the elections coming from China or wherever, it changes. The efforts of the external bad actors to try to get into our stuff, it bounces off the dome of the truth of us living in a truth-based reality, because the citizens know truth matters, and that's what they want. They want that freedom and that prosperity that comes with it. And Elon Musk, if you hear about what he talks about a prosperous future coming, but that prosperous future needs a reality of accountability and truth for it to start. So my encouragement, somebody knows Elon, ask Elon to look at the website. Ask him to challenge it and contact me. If you've got a better way of doing this, bring it forward, brother, because that's what America's about. Let's get it done. Let's get it figured out, and let's move on, and let's show everybody else what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is really about.
Let's go. And for all those voters out there that are like thinking like their vote doesn't count because, national elections are so huge and all that stuff, like Aldo saying, start at your local level. That's where your votes really count. Of course, they count in national elections and stuff like that, but you could do your grassroots campaign, go out and campaign for whatever candidate you believe, and make that change on the local level that will trickle up upstream, and you'll realize that your vote does count, and you can make change, and you can do it from the local level where you should start, and it just goes out like you're saying. I love that. I love that idea, because there were so many times where I was guilty of this myself. I was a registered Democrat when I first started voting, just kind of how I fell into things. And when a national election would come up, whether I knew the candidates or not for the local levels, I was just voting Democrat, just because, that was my party. And then as I started to get older and start realizing, like, the people in your local level really fucking matter, then I started to, if I didn't know what the candidate was about, I didn't vote at that particular moment, because I'm not just going to throw my vote out there and back somebody who I don't know what their campaign is and all that.
Well, Tip O'Neill said all politics is local, As I said before, it's one nation under God. We live and act locally. You have an impact locally. That's where it starts. And I'll give you one better, okay? There's problems in the local election system. They do things at the election board. We have it in Virginia and otherwise where they try to keep people off the ballot. But there's, in most places, in Virginia as well, there's a write-in option. So we've created a plan with this PeaceMaker Sherrif movement. You got a person in your county who's willing to sign an oath to your community to say he will uphold the PeaceMaker Sherrif standards and he will use his authority to restore that grand jury back to your community, to the citizens. We will endorse him, and you can start a write-in campaign. So we want to try to really impact things. And people don't appreciate the power of the sheriff's authority in all the counties and county equivalents. There was a case, the Prince case in 95 or 97. This gets back to Sheriff Mack, where there was some bad stuff going on in his county, and I think it was Arizona, and he stood his ground, and he got a couple of the sheriffs around him to stand their ground. It turned into a lawsuit, and it went to the Supreme Court of the United States back after the Williams case. And what the Supreme Court says, yeah, by the Constitution of the states, the sheriff is the highest law enforcement officer in every county, and he's a constitutional officer. He has a duty to help protect your constitutional rights.
Wow.
And that's part of what the grand jury is all about, right? So I
Real quick
encourage
question.
your
Aldo, just because I don't want to forget this. So is the sheriff the only like law enforcement person that is actually elected? Like because it kind of seems that way. Like I don't know any other law enforcement that is elected.
Yeah, and here's what's wicked and evil. Okay, everybody knows what the police is, but the police are policy officers and they're appointed. And the sheriff is elected, so he's accountable to the people that elects him, right? So if you think about it, if you want to be held to account for our Constitution, our rules, you want it by somebody who is accountable to you, right? Not somebody who's appointed who doesn't care, who wants to shove his boot up your ass because that's what his boss told him to do, and his boss is the mayor or whatever. So that's one person removed from you as a voter. So there's another subtle thing going on here. The sheriffs should be the highest law enforcement officer, and they are in most rural counties, keeping peace on the streets. But what's been happening is the police authority has been crept into the equation. And that takes that enforcement on the street level in your reality one step away from the voter. That's a problem. And they're policy officers. So they're out there with these 1,000-page policy codes that the legislatures have been jamming down our throats for generations, trying to figure out what you did wrong. You know the Miranda rights? What you say can and will be used against you in a court of law? What about if I show you some truth that will be used to help me? They don't care. They don't care. They just want to fill their jails, take from you, and exercise authority to break you down. What we need is a recognition of what the Constitution is about. It's a contract to protect our inalienable rights, the one God gave us, right? Yeah. And that needs to be exercised that way. But there's a problem. As I said, the sheriffs for generations have been neutered, and they've been controlled by their salary and their retirement. You don't do what the judge says, we're going to run you out of here, boy. And you're going to be, that's the reality of it. I know some good sheriffs. There are a couple of good ones out there that know what I'm about and know what I'm doing, and they're supporting me, but they have to do it behind the scenes, because if they stood up publicly, the corrupt cabal in their community would run them out. And then where would they be left? And they put their lives into this, their retirement and everything else. I'm coming from the outside. I was hired to become a deputy sheriff of Virginia Beach in 2022, passed all the tests, all the background checks, until the judges found out, because they understood that I was a whistleblower against their corruption, and they yanked my ticket. So I said, screw you guys. After you put me in jail for 67 days on solitary confinement to try to break me, I came out stronger. I put together the movement, and I put my second campaign together.
Yes.
Wow. Do you have any chapters or charters in California right now? Because that's where I live. I live in this.
So we're working with a group out of Riverside County. Okay. Any county, across California, go to that website, look at the documents, ask me any questions. You just got to fill out a couple names. You collect 12 signatures. You follow the instructions. You submit them. You start having your meetings. You're off to the races. We put you on the website as a list. We have a web developer who's already developed a canned website for your community. They'll set it up with your details, help you, get it going, and then hand it off to you. And we're not reinventing the wheel here. Don't think for a minute that what I'm doing is reinventing the wheel. I'm just saying, hey guys, that's the wheel was stopped intentionally in 46. Let's get it going again. And there's on our website, there's a resource page. And on that resource page, there are all sorts of links. There's a grand jury administrative college level course you can take. The city and county of San Diego, California has a civil grand jury that has a website. You can go check it out. But let me warn you, that grand jury has been neutered because the judges pick the jurors, which they're not supposed to. That's control number one. And the judges have limited the scope of that grand jury and will not let them hear corruption about the court. That's number two. So when these county committees get started, they're doing four basic things. Number one, they're making sure the grand jury's picked in a way that it is truly independent and not beholden to anybody or any wrong entity. Number two, they're making sure the door to the grand jury is open so the grand jury can hear all kinds of evidence, whether it's against the courts or the public officials or whether it has to do with something private. It needs to get to the grand jury. It's been gated and blocked for now. Number three, they're making sure the grand jury is fully informed of what their powers are. And that's being held back now. There's a book that talks about this called The People's Panel. And the last thing that they're doing is they're making sure that grand jury has the resources to do its job. The grand jury is usually a panel of your neighbors. It could be a day laborer, a contractor, a nurse, a school teacher, and then they're handed this information that has to do with codes and legal stuff. They don't know what's going on, and they're asking questions. And then what's happening is the judges and the prosecutors are telling them, feed them their line of what they want, and that's how the grand jury gets manipulated. Yep. So you need to make sure by proper oversight, they're getting some independent feedback, but they're also told, did you know, Mr. Grand Juror, that if you want to have the sheriff bring somebody here to answer your questions, he can do that for you? You just have to tell him to do it. Did the judge tell you that you had that power? Did you know, Mr. Grand Jury Foreman, that if you need some documents to verify what you were told here and you want to do a further investigation, you can do that? Did the judge tell you can do that? So really what the oversight committee is doing is really simple. It's like selling Girl Scout cookies. You know, it's just making sure that there are four key elements that are in fact happening at our grand jury that's in our courthouse that we're paying for with our tax dollars, that has our consent to be governed and color of law authority. So it's serving the people, not the judicial mafia. Yeah. There is a bar mafia that is alive and well. And hear me when I tell you, I am not here to vilify any individual or any class of individuals, but I am here to tell you, not slaves. And I'm standing against bad behaviors, and I'm standing up for a better path. There's a better way for all of us, including those bar members. But they're going to have to let go of this unholy control that they feel entitled to. And here, mark my words, in the future, when history looks back on this time, there will be a category in that DMSV or that manual of behaviors that will point out this social distorted pit we ended up in, where people went to law school and figured out or thought that they had the right to lie in court or manipulate the code or selectively apply the laws, and you and I were subjugated to it, and there's nothing we could do about it.
Aldo, I'm loving everything that we're hearing here. I want to touch back on one thing that we were talking about, and then I also want to direct people to those sites again, and then I want to have you back on before the November, I believe, 4th election, like a week or two before that, so we can get our audience, reacquainted with you and jazz that up and all that. But you said something earlier that I wanted to touch on. You said some sheriffs are backing you now, but they kind of have to do it behind closed doors because, worried about pensions and stuff like that. Aren't we at a time now to where we kind of have to just start saying standing up for what we actually stand for and not cowtailing and letting these people threaten our jobs and all that stuff? Aren't we past the point where we could sit by idly? Don't we have to back the right horse, so to speak? And kind of, in my opinion, they should be putting their weight behind you now and saying, no, listen to these guys' ideas. I know you've been lied to for so long and all this stuff, but why do that behind closed doors? Come out and say what you actually mean, because their people need to hear it just as much as your county people need to hear it.
Well, let me be gracious and respectful to all and just say this. Sheriff Mack, who I have great admiration for, was involved in that Prince case I told you about earlier. He stood his ground as a younger man when he was wearing the badge and helped us all. And my work is a continuation of his. He sees it that way. He's complimented me. I would love it for him to publicly make a statement that the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association is endorsing the PeaceMaker Sherrif movement. That would be a big win. And yes, I hear you. It is time for the real men to stand up and start doing something, because if not, and I'm going to tell you that yesterday I was up in Gloucester. It was a grandmother who's leading the charge. You know, I've seen courage come out of the people you least expect it. And I've seen some big, muscular, beefy guys that don't have a clue as to what's going on, or that they've been enslaved, or they've been leashed. So it's not always the physical nature. It's not always in the male dominant. It is a character trait that transcends gender. And yes, the people of courage who know things have been wrong, they need to stand up, but don't do it on your own. You have to do it in unity. Evil will take you down. You stand up alone. You need to do it with the power of unity. It's a biblical maxim. It started with the man and woman. The Bible talks about a cord of three is stronger. There's power in unity. Unity doesn't mean you agree on everything. It just means you agree on some fundamental things. Yeah. So, you know, the way to do it is to go to the restoregrandjuryrights.org website, to start in your community, to let me know so we can list you and start helping you. And then the other thing you do is you go to the PeaceMaker website, Sheriff website. We're going to put up that pledge that you can print out. You can take it to your sheriff and say, sign this and tell me that you're going to be a peacemaker in our community. If you won't sign it, we're going to go find somebody else, a retired Navy SEAL or somebody else who's got the gumption, and we're going to let them sign it, and we're going to submit the paperwork for a write-in candidate, and we're going to take your job. So you either do what we say or you do what the judges say. Who do you fear more? Because a lot of these people will tell you, you know, oh, evil won't change unless it fears you. And that's why we need a militia. Well, a militia it's in the Constitution. It's okay, but you need to be careful, because what evil wants is destruction. It loves to pit one against the other, particularly in civil matters and civil war. Brother against brother makes evil laugh its ass off, and we do not need to give it that. But you have options. You can take the PeaceMaker Sherrif pledge, print it out, put your elected sheriff's name on there, take it to them as a group of citizens and say, we know what this is about. We'll explain it to you. There's a book about the constitutional sheriff and what they're supposed to do. It's on our website. It gets back to, there are several organizations that promote this. The National Liberty Alliance is one of them. And take it to your sheriff and get him to sign it in front of you. And if he signs it, make it a public thing. Put it in the courthouse. Put it on, you know, make sure everybody's aware. He's a peacemaker. He's going to give us our grand jury authority back. If he gets in office, we'll support him and vote him. And if he doesn't do it, you get him out. And you get a special election going. But if he won't sign it and he won't do it because he fears the judges more than he fears you, you go find a brave soul in your county and you do a write-in campaign. You go to the election board, you fill out the paperwork for a write-in campaign, and you make it an issue, and you embarrass them. Because they live in your community. You know, they live on your street somewhere. Somebody picks up their trash. Somebody fixes their car. Somebody punches the keys at the grocery store to check them out. We need one another. We live in a reality. We're designed to serve one another. When a part of it's broken and it's hijacked that authority, we the people have power. We just say, hey, I'm not going to fix your car because I know what you've done and I know what you're about.
And we have the right to refuse service, baby.
There you go.
Well, check this out. So, I mean, our audience could hear it, and I'm sure you got their full weight behind you coming up in this election. But to ensure that, you tell us that you'll deputize myself and Chad, and we'll make sure that our audience comes out and votes in troves when you get elected.
Well, look, I can send you an honorary badge because you're not in my county, but we're going to be deputizing some Navy SEALs. I live in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is home to the SEAL teams on the East Coast. Yep. There are a bunch of them that already support me. They know what this is about. And my hat's off to them. They went to foreign shores to fight for the freedoms that we have been taken away from us locally. And believe me when I tell you, these guys, when they come home and they know what's going on in their sheriff's authority, They are hot mad because they're like, I put my life on the line in conditions you can't imagine to come home and then to have these guys play these games in my courthouse. No, I'm not sitting for that. And they get upset. And I tell them, look, this is the way to do it, brother. We take back the authority, we deputize you guys, and we straighten it out the lawful, peaceful way. Nobody needs to get hurt. No laws need to get broken. But that's what's going on. So yes, the sheriff has a unique authority in the law enforcement arena to deputize the citizens. So if the sheriff deputizes a group of patriot citizens that act lawfully, you got something strong going on there.
Yes, sir.
That's a good thing. So, I talk to the militia guys a lot. I know them. They know me. And I just caution them. I said, look, guys, be careful, because what evil wants is to cause some destruction. We're looking at deputizing patriots that want, to see things get better and to live in this reality of truth. And that's the path we're on here. So there's a lot going on. I'd encourage your viewers. And you're right, J-Ro, you can get to a point where you start to doubt our reality and say, does truth really matter? Is good really the victor? Because, boy, it seems kind of odd and upside down, but it's changing. That as I told you, that angel was sent. Evil was bound. We're in this 1,000-year landing zone into the new heaven on the new earth, and it's going to be a glorious thing, brother.
Rock on. So, Aldo, like I said, man, because we know that the world has ADHD, and I'm sure they're into this right now, but it could be forgotten out of their brain a week from now. So I want to bring you on about a week or two before your election, reacquaint you with the audience, and unpack some more stuff in here, because we just scratched the surface with you. But again, mention those websites, and if you have some kind of maybe social media for yourself where the audience could go through and talk to you, and then we'll post them in the comments and section below in the description.
Yeah, so I'm not a big social media guy, but I forced myself onto X or Twitter at PeaceMaker Aldo. You can communicate me there. All these websites have a contact us form, and some of them even have a phone number on there for me. But I would ask your viewers, your listeners, if you could connect me to Elon Musk, that would be great. If you could connect me to General Flynn quicker, that'd be great. If you can push some buttons with Kash Patel or Miss Bondi or Vance or somebody else, the executive branch is paying attention, that'd be all great. RestoreGrandJuryRights.org is where the formula is. It's free and open source and costs you a dime. All it costs is your time and your consideration. Start collecting some signatures. Let me know. Once we hit 100 counties, we're at that tipping point. It's a national issue that cannot be swept under the rug. That site is linked to the PeaceMakerSherrif.org movement. I'll put up the pledge sheet up there in a couple days. It's not up yet. I'll stick it up. Use that as a tool. Take it to your current sheriff. See if he'll sign it. If he won't, let him know that you'll be working to make sure there's a write-in candidate that will, and we'll help you with that. And then the last one is that Justice for Roland. This African-American Eagle Scout was beaten to death within a half an hour of being in our jail for misdemeanor trespassing. He was handcuffed and bound in a restraining suit. The video on the website, the 5 deputies involved, they got him on the floor. They're pounding this kid. He has no way to defend himself. He's crying for mercy. We know that because there were other people who were in earshot who came forward. We tried to bring this to the media. They shut it down. They hid it under the rug until after the election, until the incumbents kept power, and then we forced it out. They finally indicted 3 of the 5 deputies for manslaughter, too. One of those deputies was in one of the jail cells for one night until he posted a $500 bond. They put me in that same jail cell for 30 days by myself. So, everybody knows George Floyd and what happened and the disaster there. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases that are much worse. This kid was known to have a good heart. He was a hard worker. Misdemeanor trespassing, not on drugs, handcuffed and bound in a restraining suit on the floor, couldn't hurt a fly. 5 deputies on top of him, pounding the life out of him.
And Aldo, this was just, he was arrested for it. He wasn't even tried for the misdemeanor trespassing at this point. He was just arrested at that time for the supposed crime.
He was arrested and taken to the jail in a half an hour, beaten to death, and sent out to the hospital. The public was told he had a medical emergency, and they quietly dropped his charges.
Insane.
I mean, the website's up, justiceforroland.org. Go look at it. If it doesn't light your fire and tell you this is bullshit, I don't know what will.
Mm-hmm. Jim Morrison said
Basic.
it best here. They got the guns, but we got the numbers, folks. And time to start using our numbers and getting into unity and getting these people out and getting good people like this gentleman right here, Peacemaker Aldo. You got some great ideas here, man. And we'll start it local at Virginia Beach, get 100 counties on board and take this thing national, like you said. Audience out there, you do have an edict. He's looking to get in contact with Elon Musk, J.D. Vance, people of those nature and stature, so we can get this word out and get it spread locally. So anybody who could do that, please, by all means, hop on that. And Aldo, we want to thank you for coming on, giving us some of your time, dude. And if you will, come back about a week or two before the election, and we're going to do this again and do it and dive in and unpack some more.
Anytime, gentlemen. I hope it's a great show for you and your viewers. I seek to serve others and to, and look, it's virtue and honor. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Aldo, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry I was a little quiet. I was just letting you do your thing. I'm 100% on board with all this, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Peacemaker Aldo, ladies and gentlemen. Peacemaker Sherrif Aldo, soon to be. Chad, he's a ball of fire, and his ideas are fucking... That's a grassroots campaign that I can get on board with.
He's what we call a change agent. And he's changing the right thing, so I'm definitely looking into this. I love it.
And we just scratched the surface there, but we only got so much time in the show, as we say. I want to bring Bobby on real quick to say goodbye to the audience. Let him wrap up here, and then maybe next week he'll dive into a little bit on how his vacation went and why. Bobby, you want to say goodbye to the audience?
I just want to say thank you to the guests. That was awesome.
Agreed.
Definitely a lot of great information. Great information for everybody to follow and check out. Definitely.
Glad to have you back, Bobby. Thank you for being on the ball there, pulling up websites. Keep up the good work, my man. And we will keep on bringing it. The Gracious Tuesday with the Gracious 2. Boom, 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 boom.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Please.
Yeah, we're good. Keep going.
Oh, so please like, follow, and subscribe.
Yes.
Boom. And comment.
And comment, share, all that jazz. We love you. Peace.